Hey, good evening, Third New Hope family and our streaming guests. This is Pastor Thomas, and welcome to our third session or third segment of Faith and Finance Friday. We're excited for what God is doing in our ministry. We give a shout out to our lead pastor, Pastor Quantez Presley, who gives us the opportunity to do this. We are dealing with the entire person when it talks to mental health, finances, as well as the family. So we're actually, this piece is actually finances. Our theme this year is up, unrelenting persistence. So we're excited. And I'm going to jump right into it. Got a good friend of mine named Dewan Smith. We've been knowing each other. I ain't going to tell you how many years. We got together. We coached each other's sons in baseball, Little League
Yes,
baseball.
yes.
So it's been a while. So what I'm going to do is Dewan Smith, I'm going to let him talk about himself, his business, what he does, give his information, how we can reach out to him. We'll also share that again at the end. And then we'll get into the questions because this, just in case you wonder what we're going to talk about, we're talking about retirement planning today. Retirement planning, we talk about annuities and different things like that, retirement planning. So, Dewan, tell us a little bit about yourself, name of your business, how we can reach you, and everything.
Okay. I'm Dewan Smith. I've been in the business for 25 years. I've worked for companies like John Hancock. I decided to go independent around about 2001. I opened up my own practice, and in 2001, I became independent. So, what independent means versus working for a company, if you work for John Hancock, you can only sell John Hancock products. But being independent, I can look for best deal for my clients, and that's what I do.
Okay, so how do we reach you, and what's the name of your business, and how do we reach you?
Okay, my name of my business is D. Smith Financial. You can reach me at 313-673-9083 or my website, d-smithfinancial.com. d-smithfinancial.com. Had to think about
Yeah, man, you had to learn
it.
that for a minute. So one of the things that we've been doing over the last several months, every fourth Friday, we have segments, and we talk about topics that will help us financially to build our financial foundations. And one of the things, the topics that came up was retirement planning. And we say, let's bring somebody in that can actually enrich us and help us to give us additional knowledge of how we can go up with our finances. And we thought of you, so we're gonna get right into it. I'm not, you're our designated expert. This month, last month, we had the brilliant attorney AJ Skillman,
She was
who
great too.
who talked about estate planning. So we're excited for what we're gonna learn today. So I am going to get straight to it. First question I have for you: when should we start planning for retirement?
Day one, you start working.
The day
That's
when
when you start planning. Start jotting stuff down. What are your goals for the year? What are your goals for the quarter? Put your goals up on the mirror in the bathroom. Say your goals to yourself. Sometimes tell your significant other people your goals so someone can keep you accountable for your goals.
okay, because that was my second question. You kind of answered them because I asked you when should you start planning, and then the next question was what goes into the planning. I mean, what do we really? I hear people say they're going to retire, they want to retire, or they're retiring at a certain age, but when you start to ask them questions, you can tell they really have they're just talking it. They're not really planning. So what actually goes into it? I mean, what are some of the things you need to think about?
Retirement is different for everyone.
Okay.
First of all, so what kind of lifestyle do you want to live? Do you want to live a lavish lifestyle, or do you just want to stay mainly where you are? And then staying where you are, you have to understand this one important thing. This name that's been coming out lately is called inflation.
Okay.
What you're paying for today won't be the same cost of what you're paying for tomorrow. I mean, you can look at eggs, how much they're running, and gas and things like that. So being safe with your retirement planning is not a great idea. A portion of your funds should be safe, but not all of your funds should be safe.
Okay. Okay. So you're looking at when you're planning for retirement, how much debt you have, how much income, or what is it, debt to income ratio, or whatever. How are you shaping that? Because I know it changes the closer you get to retirement, whereas you may be living a certain way. But
Right.
so what are we shaping here? What are
You
we?
want to look at all your debt. You want to look at your mortgage. Get an amortization table. I have the companies, my mortgage company send me an amortization table all the time. And what that is that tells you how much interest you are paying to your mortgage people every year. You know, you take on a 30-year mortgage, yeah, your house costs 100,000, but by the time you pay it off over 30 years, you're paying 2.5 times more than what the house is actually worth. So we don't want to be paying as much in interest as possible. Even the same with credit cards. Pay those cards off every month, you know, and use it like that. Now, going back to your question of what is it that it looks like for people, again, you have to look at your particular debt, your particular situation, and what you want to do until your retirement years.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we talk about this retirement planning. Now we're about to get in some definitions. We need some understanding, man,
Okay,
because
cool.
you hear so much stuff. And I'm just gonna throw three things out to you, and I need, like I told Attorney AJ Skidmore, like we're elementary, we don't know.
Right.
So three things. I need you to explain it to it. What is an annuity? What is a pension? What is 401k? If they're the same, let us know. If they're different, please tell us.
They're not the same.
Okay.
Okay. Now, an annuity is a contract between you and an insurance company. Okay? You say, hey, I have 100 grand, I have 20 grand, whatever the number is, and there's terms associated with the annuity. And then there's interest associated with the annuity. And your payout will be according to the interest and stuff like that. A pension is between you and the company you work for. You know, so the company will let you know, excuse me, the company will let you know, according to your salary, your years that you've worked, and our model that we have, this is how much money you're going to receive. Let me give you an example. Federal government employees have a thing called FERS. I'm sure you're familiar, right?
Yeah.
And even if you work 30 years and you make 100,000 and you're 62, you're going to lose roughly 67% of what you were used to bringing in. And that's one of the first things you want to know when you first start working. How is my pension system going to benefit me or hurt me in my retirement
Okay,
years?
hold on. I don't mean to
Okay.
cut you off. You said something right there. So if I'm making $100,000,
Yes, sir.
my pension is gonna be roughly $37,000,
$33,000.
$33,000.
Depending on what state you're in, you're going to have to pay taxes on that, sir.
Wow. So did you all hear that? So I cut him off because he said something. So we're gonna get back into it because he got some more definitions. But we needed to hear that because what he's telling us is, depending on how you plan, you may say you gonna retire thinking you gonna be making your pension or something, maybe a certain amount of money, and then if you have not inquired or asked, you realize I can't live off this, and then you find yourself having to work longer than you anticipated,
Yes.
or actually living, lower
Not as you want to
as you want to. Okay, so that was the
in a 401k.
401k.
So a 401k is something that companies set up, excuse me, companies set up, and it can either be pre-tax or after-tax. Pre-tax means that it comes out before federal, state, and local taxes, right? So for every dollar you put in, it roughly costs you 65 cents. But remember, you did not pay taxes on those dollars. When you go into retirement, you will have to pay taxes on those dollars according to the tax bracket at that time.
At that time.
Not when you were working, at that time.
Wow.
I don't remember taxes ever going down, right? So then there's after tax, where you actually take the money out of your pocket, per se, out of your paycheck, which is dollar for dollar. So if you're putting away $100, you're investing $100. And in most cases, they're like Roth 401ks or Roth TSPs, where after you've had it for 5 years and you're 59 and a half, all the interest is tax-free. So you're done. So just imagine if you have 300,000 in your, I don't want to say pre-tax dollars and 300,000 in your after-tax dollars, the after-tax dollars is an actual 300,000. This money is not actual 300,000.
Wow. The pension, for a lot of people or a lot of companies, they're becoming obsolete. Do
Yes.
you think eventually there will be no more pensions?
That's tough to say, but they're definitely headed towards that way. If you go back from the 60s to the 70s to the 80s, I think the 80s is around when the 401ks really started coming into play, and they start putting more onus on you as the employee to be able to manage your own afterlife, retirement years.
Okay, so let's talk about that. So more so than depending on a pension, if you have a 401k, that means you really need to be knowledgeable, and you need or find somebody that's knowledgeable that will set you up to be able to live like you want to once you retire. Because if you don't put the money away,
You won't have it.
you won't have it.
Hey, that's the bottom line. You won't have it. So you should also do your reviews with your 401k, and like I have a bunch of clients who are federal government employees, and I'll send them a text at the beginning of the year. Don't forget to increase your TSP by 1%. And they're like, oh yeah, thank you.
But you all
every
don't,
year
I mean
you
to
have
cut,
to
I
increase.
don't mean to cut him off. Y'all don't know. TSP is thrift savings plan.
I'm sorry.
I'm not gonna tell you how I know, but it's thrift savings plan.
Right.
That's another
Right.
form of retirement,
Yes.
retirement plan.
Yes.
So you're saying what happens? What advice do you give if you find out whatever type of plan, whether it's your job or whatever, particularly your job, if they are matching your funds? How much should you put? Should you put as much as you can if they're matching
Right.
what you put away? And how
Right.
does that work? If they say we're matching your funds or we're giving you $5 off $10, explain that to us.
How does that look? Okay, so a lot of people only want to put in up to their match, right? But I'll say, let's go back to our conversation about the pension, right? Where are you going to make up that 67%? If you're not putting in the additional 1% every year, then it's going to be hard to catch up on that 67% of a miss that you're missing in your retirement years.
And that's just trying to maintain.
That's just trying to maintain your lifestyle, right?
Y'all already
But compounding interest beats no interest all day long.
all day long. Compounding interest. Hold that thought. Everybody y'all watching. Y'all know I've been talking about organization, discipline, sacrifice, and education. So that's what we're getting, because you have to have that discipline to start as early as possible with your retirement planning, and you have to be willing to make some sacrifices so that once you do say, I'm not working anymore, you cannot work anymore. You will understand that you have put away what you need to put away, as well as decreasing your debt,
Yes.
so that you can live comfortably once you retire. You want to add anything to that? Because I think you were saying something. I interrupted you though.
No,
Or
I
you
don't remember what I
good?
said. I'm good.
Okay,
We
you
go to the next
good. Okay, so when you find somebody comes to DeJuan Smith, and you find out whether they have an annuity, a pension, 401k, and everything, what do you start? How does this look like? Say I come to you and I put everything on the table, and I am not really astute. I don't know much about planning for my retirement, and I need somebody that I can trust. What are some of the things that we need to know going into that interview? Because it's our retirement.
Right.
It's good, and it's good to have y'all. It's good to have Dewan Smith. But what are some of the things that I need to know, I need to start asking myself from the day I start working?
What do you want your money to do for you?
There we go.
That's number one. Number two, do you want your money to fluctuate or do you want it just to grow? Because there's policies or annuities that can go up and down like the stock market, and there's annuities that can just straight growth, you know. So if you're trying to beat inflation, then, you know, the market may be a little bit better for you. But if you say, nah, I'm good, I just want to always see my money moving in the right direction, upward, then, you know, you want to look at that. And then, so there's pros and cons to both. One is not better than another. You just need to know what you have and does this fit your needs.
Okay.
Go from there.
I want to go back to the annuities, pensions, and 401ks.
Okay.
I think we're comfortable with the pension because pension is usually determined by your job, and you know, once you retire, you're gonna get this amount of money
Right.
for the rest of your life.
Right.
And you may, depending on, you may get cost of living.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now,
COLA.
COLA. So, but the annuity, you said it's an agreement. You have a lump sum of money there
Yes.
that can continue to be growing.
Yes.
Do you have the option of taking it all out, or can you draw off of it? And what are the tax liabilities for those?
Okay.
I think
Great.
I said something, didn't I?
Great question. Great question. To answer your question, yes, you can take a lump sum depending on the contract that was set up between you and the insurance companies.
Okay.
Okay. So let's say you had a contract.
Question: you saying insurance companies? I mean to cut you off.
Okay.
Because the insurance companies be also considered / banks, because banks are doing annuities too.
Yeah, they just got into
They
that
got it.
round.
Okay.
Yeah,
All
they
right.
just
Just
got
one.
into the-
Okay.
They just got into that,
All right.
space. Okay. So there's a contract between you and the company, the bank or the annuity or the insurance company, I'm saying. So it can be terms of 1 year, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, anything like that. If you break those terms, they will hit you what is called a surrender charge, because you are not staying in there for the duration of the term, right? The interest is normally taxed. The interest that you receive, yet you take out, will be taxed. Now, I would say see a CPA for all the tax information. He might say it's LIFO, he might say it's FIFO, last in, first out, first in, first out. So
Okay.
that's their term.
So I'm
That's all that stuff.
I'm trying to clear this up because this annuity. I know it's some questions. I'm learning. So
Okay,
so we're
cool.
still on this annuity.
Okay.
I got $500,000 in my annuity.
Okay.
500,000. Just say I got 500,000. Gets to the point, I believe, at 59 and a half. When you can start. When can you start drawing from your annuity?
Actually, you can take it out before 59 and a half. That's what most people don't know.
Is it a penalty?
There is not a penalty. It's called a 72T. You have to take it out in equal distributions over a certain period of time. So you can avoid that 10% penalty.
Oh, okay. You just said something. Man. Okay, so you
I know a little now. I know a little something to be
so
dangerous.
an annuity you can get before 59 and a half.
Yes.
But
Especially if you had like a 401k and you retired at 55.
Okay.
Some people need their money before 59 and a half. They don't want to take on that 10% penalty. There is a way around.
So how do you look? You since you opened this up, I need to. We elementary again. So I got $500,000.
Okay.
Okay. What would be my options to get it? How does it look if I got it before 59 and a half?
So what the company will do is they'll do a what is called an amortization table, annuitization table. I'm sorry. They'll look at your age. They'll look at the amount that you have, and they'll let you know how much you can take out every year until 59 and a half, or the term that they choose for you to avoid that 10% penalty.
Oh, okay. But then regularly, if you start at 59 and a half, it's no
Yeah,
tax.
you don't have to worry about the 10%
You gotta
penalty.
work now.
But you still have to pay taxes.
I know you still pay tax.
Federal and state taxes.
Okay.
Yes.
So But just say I got this. I'm working with this. I don't know why I said $500,000, but I
Okay.
just threw it out there.
Hey.
Okay, so you got $500,000 in there. You
Okay.
59 and a half.
Mm-hmm.
So what can happen is you can leave the principal. You can never touch the principal, and because it's an annuity, and whoever you should be making money off of it.
Right.
Okay, particularly at that age.
Right.
Whether you still are quote considered aggressive or
Conservative.
a conservative, you should be making money. So
Right.
you should be able to, correct me if I'm wrong, whoever's distributing your money, you should say, look, I never want to touch the principal. How much can I draw per month or per year? And they should be able to tell you, give you an idea,
Give you an idea.
and prayerfully the 500,000 continue to grow.
Yes.
And you're basically not touching your principal. It's growing,
Yes.
and you're still getting a monthly or yearly stipend. Did y'all hear that? I hope y'all getting this. That's what an annuity will do. But some discipline, right?
It's discipline.
And some sacrifice.
And plenty of sacrifice.
Because what happens is, particularly, just say if I set up an annuity and I'm still working, but I start drawing, because then there may be some tax ramifications if I'm not careful. That's why you mentioned talking to a CPA
Yes.
and different people, because
Yes.
what you don't want to do is you've worked and you've done all this thing, and you look up and the tax man
Coming, knocking
is
on the
coming and taking more than what you anticipated,
Right.
and it can throw you into a spiral.
Yeah.
So that was some good information, because my next question was, how do they work? The differences. I think we tackled that.
Yeah, we touched on that.
And then we talked about how and when they pay out. Now we talked about the pension and annuities. What about the 401k? Is it the same as an annuity? So you get a certain age, you got this amount of money in your 401k, or can you only use the 401k at a certain age? And is it the same as annuities, as well as taking amount a month? How does the 401k, or does it work more like a pension?
The pension is closer to an annuity. A pension is more or less an annuity. That's
Okay.
what a pension really is.
Okay.
401k are normally tied up with mutual funds in most cases, and the document will tell you, okay, going back to your scenario of matching, there's something that's called vesting in there. So with the matching is vesting, right? So that's the company's money. And they'll let you know after working there 3 years, you are allowed to get our money if you separate from service. 5 years, 10 years, whatever it is. So that's the vesting portion.
And that's the 401k.
That's the 401k. That's how you get their money from them.
Now, do you have the option of taking it all or month? I mean, or do you just?
Well, if you separate from service with a 401k, you can roll your money over to a traditional IRA. If it's pre-tax, it's traditional. If it's after tax, then it's a Roth IRA.
Okay, let's go. You just opened it up. Anytime you open up a door, we walking through
Let's
it.
walk through it.
We talked about annuity, pension, and 401k, but you just said now IRA. That's an individual retirement account, if I'm correct.
That's right.
Are any of these an IRA? And if not, explain to me what IRA is.
Okay.
Explain to us what IRA is.
So an IRA is nothing but a shell. That's all it is. How do you fund the IRA to grow? That's where an annuity, a mutual fund, a savings account, a CD, a stock, to make the IRA grow.
Okay.
That's all it is. It's just a shell.
So that's when you was talking about rolling it over. Say if you quit your job or you get a new job and you've
Right.
had this, you got amount of money that you've had, you can roll it over.
Right.
So to keep growing.
Right.
That works for you towards your retirement.
Right. And so when you roll it over, it's a lateral move. No taxes are paid. Right. But now you have more control, because it's not the company telling you what you can invest in. You can come to someone like myself, and we'll look at different options for you to have your money grow for you.
Okay. Now you said something. Something just hit me, so I'm gonna ask you
Okay.
another question.
Hey.
We talked about these annuities, pensions, 401ks, IRA. We talked about all that. So, and when we talked about the I think you was talking about the first, where you said if you was making $100,000, once you retire, it's only gonna be
If you do
$33,000.
30 years and you're 62 years old.
So if one of the things correct me, can you do this? Say once you realize that, can you say, even though I have this account right here, I might need to do another account,
Oh, yeah.
an IRA or something like that, and start that one also, which is making up. Because that's
can.
one of the ways you make up, is if I'm correct.
You can.
Okay.
You can. Yeah, you can set up while you're still working. You can set up a Roth IRA. Yeah, it's no problem. I highly, as much tax-free dollars as possible that you can get it. Whether it be a Roth IRA or a life insurance policy, a universal life or a whole life.
Oh, see, there you go. There you go. Okay, let's talk about these IRA. I'm gonna try and close this IRA. How much time we got? But no, seriously, we talked about it. IRA. You said Roth, and I guess it's a traditional.
Traditional.
What is you might have mentioned it, but
That's okay.
since we're on this, repeat it. What exactly is the difference?
So a traditional IRA is funded with pre-tax dollars. That's when you do your rollover from a traditional 401k, whatever. It's going to go straight to a traditional IRA,
Okay.
and then you fund it with whatever product you're going to use.
Okay.
Okay. A Roth IRA is just with after-tax dollars, and you're putting money in. You're already paying your taxes up front,
Okay.
and you're done.
So Roth IRA is basically once you start drawing off of it or whatever, you don't have to worry about taxes.
Nope, at 59 and a half, you're done. All the interest that's accumulated in it, it's all yours. So the younger you are, the earlier you should start your Roth IRA, I'm sorry.
Okay, you just said something then, because I mentioned you have a lot of our millennials, young people they're understanding some of these principles, and they're making money, as Attorney AJ said, they're getting the bag.
Right.
So they need to start IRAs and different things as early as possible also.
Definitely. Definitely. Because I'm 50, and I never thought I would be as old as I am now. I mean, if you're lucky, time will get up on you. But if you didn't do the planning from in the past, it won't be as favorable for you. Money, interest, you definitely want to know about interest and time, because the younger you are, even if you're not getting the big interest rates, the compounding interest of what you invested in years before will help you in the long run, and that's compounding interest. So give you an example.
Yeah, give me an example.
Someone can invest $10,000 at age 25 and stop. Someone can invest, they say they're gonna wait to age 35, and they put in a lot more money than the person did at age 25. And if they're both getting the same return of dollars, in most cases, the person who's age 25 will have more money than the person at age 35, even though they put in more money.
Wow. So even if I'm young and just say I can only put away $50 a month, $100 a month, still do it.
I'm gonna steal something from Robert Kiyosaki, and it's
That's
the
my
Robert
man,
Kiyosaki, Rich Dad,
Rich
Poor
Dad,
Dad.
Poor Dad. Oh,
Right, and he had a philosophy of 3 piggy banks. And if you got $50, put 10 to go to your offerings, right? Put 10 in for your savings, and put the rest in maybe for investing, or however you do the 3 piggy banks. Just do the 3 piggy banks.
Did y'all hear DeJuan? He said 10% for your tithes.
That's right. That's right.
So he did say that.
That's right.
But yeah, and what I like to say is if you use that philosophy, 3 piggy banks, what we need to understand is we still have 70%. And we need to understand that with the organization, discipline, sacrifice, and education, we should be good with the 70% if we're understanding the principles and what we are trying to achieve.
Yes.
Another question, I think we kind of we talked about it. the way I have it is, can you transfer your plans if you leave your job? You mentioned that you can roll it over into a IRA. Is that the only thing, the only option besides cashing it out? And you don't want to cash it
If
out.
you
'cause
cash it out, then Uncle Sam's gonna
Uncle
love
Sam.
you.
Uncle Sam, because it's gonna be something crazy. It's like
Yeah.
40%. It's something crazy, right?
It depends on your tax bracket at that time, but yeah, you're gonna have to pay the 59.5 rule. You're gonna have to pay which is 10%. You're gonna have to pay the federal government tax, and then you have to pay the state tax. So you can wind up paying close to 50%.
Yeah.
You know, yeah, you don't want to do that.
So you
don't love Uncle Sam that much.
you wanna roll it over.
Mm-hmm.
Is there a formula that you use? Again, we coming to you. Someone doesn't know
Mm-hmm.
and they don't know where to start. Do you have because technology is so savvy now? Do you have like a calculator or something that you use to prepare for the retirement or prepare? Say I come in and I don't have the exact. I know what I want, but I have no idea how much I need to save right now.
Right.
You can actually help us
Right.
walk us through how we would do that to get to where we need to go.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Okay. Okay. Now, I don't know if I got a question. This might be kind of a curveball, but we talked about insurances.
Okay.
How do they work in planning for retirement? Can they be beneficial? Do you recommend them, or not even recommend them? Should we at least know about the options?
Yes. For young people, I've always, and I was just explaining this to my son earlier, is disability insurance. You know, how important is your paycheck? You know, in most cases, everybody's going to say, yeah, it's very important. Okay. So if something was to happen, do you have 3 to 6 months or more to be able to pay your bills on a regular basis? And most people don't, you know. So yeah, take those few dollars, whatever you can afford, you know, as disposable income, and protect your salary.
So you're talking about disability. You also then you probably need to throw in long-term care that could devastate you if you.
That's normally later on down the
Later
road.
on.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Long-term care insurance is basically disability insurance protection for your assets.
Okay.
Yeah. So,
Okay.
yeah.
And a lot of times, depending on your company, a lot of times they have these packages upon hiring in, and they have open enrollment yearly. But a lot of times, some people are not familiar. It can be overwhelming.
It can.
Because
It can.
you're sitting up there just saying they're having all this. You can put up to. I can put up to 10% in for retirement. I'm matching such and such. You could do long-term disability. What else? Disability insurance. Then they got the disability, like if you cut off your arm, if you cut off your foot. I mean, there's so much, and you sitting up there like, I have no clue. But a lot of times they're cheap. The rates are cheap. At least they look cheap. So you're wondering, what do I take out, and what do I think how do we figure that out? How do we?
Right.
Because it affects our retirement.
It can be mind-boggling, right? But if you go back to what I was said before, what do you need?
Okay.
Not what the salesperson talking about, not what the company talking about. What do you need? What fits you best? And then you start educating yourself off of that, or get with someone. Don't talk to your coworker. They don't do that for a living. Talk to someone. You know, educate yourself. The internet is basically an open book test. I call most millennials cheaters because we didn't have open book tests. We had to actually find out for ourselves. But
We had encyclopedias.
exactly, and somebody came to the door,
Right.
and sold you those, or sold your parents those. But educate yourself, then come to an advisor who does it, but have your questions ready. How does this benefit me? How much is it going to cost? Okay, give me a scenario if something happened. How do I get paid? How do I go about getting my money? Because that's another thing. Now, insurance industry, they're very smart. That's $1 trillion industry.
Did you say trillion?
Trillion with a T.
I don't even know how many zeros that is.
That's
man.
a lot. It's a lot. So, meaning that they have a lot of gimmicky products.
Okay.
Even with the accidental death, if you read the fine print, in some of them, a person has to die within a certain time limit in order for the beneficiaries to get that extra money.
Wow.
Exactly.
So another question, I think we kind of touched on it, and we about to wrap up. How do you protect your assets to minimize taxes? I think you said one of the things is talk to a CPA. That's an accountant, and maybe we're gonna have to get an accountant. We might have to,
Yeah,
these next
definitely.
minute.
Definitely
I
need
got
one.
somebody in mind. Too.
Got somebody in mind?
Yeah, I got
Okay.
somebody in mind that
Okay.
we might have to get in so we can understand what we need to be protecting.
Yes.
And setting it up as soon as possible.
Right.
Until it's too late. Now, what?
I want to say something else, if you don't mind.
Okay.
Okay. With the company products, whether it be life insurance or long-term care, and a lot of times there's gaps in there, and you have to know what the gaps are, meaning that they won't cover certain things. It's inexpensive for a reason.
Okay.
And a lot of times people will have life insurance at the job, but when they retire, it goes away or it gets down to a minimal. And if you try to keep it as a permanent policy, it's super, super, super expensive. So the younger you are with life insurance, you definitely should purchase it. I don't think term is better than whole life. I don't think whole life is better than term, but it's all predicated on the situation.
Again, what works for you?
Okay, what works for you?
Yeah.
Right? You have a mortgage, 30 years, you just want to cover that. You may want to just get a term policy, But if you're just holding on to term, especially for your family in the long run, it can actually cost you more than a whole life policy.
Okay.
Because what happens during life is life. Some people become diabetics, cancer, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, it costs you $20 a month in your 20s, but now that term has run out and now you're diabetic and you're 45 and you still need life insurance, it ain't gonna be $20 no more. Excuse my word, ain't, but it ain't gonna be $20 no more. It may cost you $300-400 a month trying to maintain the same amount that you had when you bought when you were 20.
Okay. Another. This is not on the. This just hit me. Another thing that I didn't have on the sheet to ask you, but it just popped into my mind was about insurance when you retire, health insurance, because that makes a difference too, if I'm correct. Because
Yeah.
a lot of times, if you're working for a company and you have Blue Cross, Health Alliance Plan, whatever, Aetna, it's usually cheaper. But once you retire, those rates usually go up.
Oh, yeah.
So that's another thing, if I'm correct. When you sitting down and planning for retirement, you need to plan for that, so you're not worried about I can't retire because
Right.
I don't
Right.
have health insurance or the
Right.
appropriate, or I can't retire until I'm eligible for Medicare, which is, I believe now, is it 65 or something?
Somewhere in that
Yeah,
ballpark,
so a lot of these things that we have to understand. Now, here's the last one. I got one for you.
Okay.
This ain't that bad. And then after this last question, I'm going to first of all, I'm going to ask you to give us your information again, but then I'm going to ask you, we've covered a lot. I'm going to ask you basically, after I read what we covered, to sum up or give us some information that you think is pertinent, and that's how we're going to close it out. But the last question is, how much money should we keep liquid during the duration, whether it's in the beginning, the middle, or once we retire? You hear about it. That I've seen people that said all their money was tied up, and they needed a certain amount of money liquid, and it would have hurt them to take it off something else because of the tax person. How do you determine how much liquid money you need? And those don't understand what liquid is, I want you to tell tell them what liquid is.
Liquid is what you can reach in your pocket and pull on out.
Okay. So in
You
the
know,
bank, like in your account,
or at home, yeah, or
under
get
your
to the bank.
mattress,
Yeah,
or in the
yeah,
bank.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah.
Okay.
That's liquid. So I mean, look at your bills. You know, look at your mortgage if you have one. Look at your car note if you have one. Look at your monthly water, whatever. And you know, you need at least, and you said in going to retirement, you need at least a year of that
Okay.
set to the side.
Okay. So if
know.
I'm, if just say hypothetically, if my monthly bills, I'm gonna pull out a calculator right
Pull it
here.
on out.
If my monthly bills are $2,500 a month,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I need a year.
Mm-hmm.
I need 30 grand liquid.
Yep. What happens in between you retiring and you getting your first pension check? Stuff happens. They lost your paperwork. You know, you didn't do this right. You didn't do that right. You're supposed to come on this date. It didn't come on. But if you got that buffer,
Right.
you know, okay, cool. Y'all will get it together. You know, I'm going to call y'all though next week. Make sure you got my money. You're not stressed.
Okay.
And I've seen that happen before. Have your money put to the side. So for life instances, because life happens.
So that's another thing when you're talking about retirement planning and everything. That's one of the things you also include where you say, we used to, you know, some people call it a rainy day fund. Some
Yep.
call it what is it called? Well, rainy day fund, other things.
Yeah,
but,
yeah.
But just
Vacation fund, whatever
because,
it is.
whatever, you
Yeah.
need to also be planning for that just in case something happens. And then if it never happens,
You got some extra money.
you have some extra money that you need to decide what to do. Maybe going to Hawaii or something like that, So, Dewan, again, thank you so much for taking the time out to
My
bless us
pleasure.
here. We talked about how do you start planning for retirement, what goes into retirement. Very helpful with the annuities, pension, 401ks, IRAs, knowing the differences, how they work. We talked about the payoffs. We talked about transferring funds, calculating retirement. Talked about the disabilities. We talked about protecting assets, taxes, and how much money we should keep liquid. All that. What would you tell us? First of all, give us your information again, and then how would you sum this up or give us something that we may not have talked about?
You can call me again, Dewan Smith, at 313-673-9083. Or you can go on my website and make an appointment at d-smithfinancial.com. To sum everything up, just do your due diligence. Don't be scared to jot stuff down, look at it, repeat it, tell someone that you trust. But be active. Be active in doing your research. Be active in learning. You know, it's learning. It's okay to learn. And every now and again, you're going to make mistakes. We're all human. We make mistakes. But the biggest thing that we need to purchase is life insurance. We didn't dig deep into life insurance. Life insurance is one of few things that pass down tax-free. And talk about building wealth. Oh yeah, that's a big wealth builder. And I'm not talking about the 50,000. Let's buy some bigger policies, and you can get with the attorney and wrap it up in a trust.
Okay.
Yeah, and she'll be able to help you with that.
Hey, that is excellent. Again, Dewan, we thank you for coming and blessing us. The knowledge that we have received today was incredible. We thank you all for listening to us. Hopefully we have information. I know we have information in the chat. You can reach me, Pastor Thomas, at Lester ET, that's LESTERET @gmail.com. Any questions, any topics that you want us to continue to talk about? I believe this is our third segment, so we have 9 more months. So we want to get as many topics as possible. And I'm praying, I'm not so sure if I am correct, we're going to have representatives from banks here with us next
Nice.
month in April. I'm trying to get I'm praying for this brilliant couple that holds good positions in banks that will be able to come and talk to us and explain how banks should work for us and answer any questions when it comes to our banking. So again, we thank you for joining us. We thank you again for our lead pastor, Pastor Quantez Presley, aka Pastor Q, for his vision. I thank you for what you're giving, what you're learning. I'm excited for what it's going to do for the kingdom of God. Again, Third New Hope is up from here, unrelenting persistence. So let's keep on keeping on. And with that, we bless you, we love you, and we will see you next month. Have a great evening.